I'm on now.
All right, James, I'm here with one of my mentors in the business, Miss Leeza Gibbons. How are you?
So honored to hear that. I'm great.
Yes.
And I know you are.
Oh, I am blessed and highly favored and glad to be with you today. So you're here at NAPTY with a new show.
Yes. Yes, we're here to spread the love for America Now. It's a nightly news magazine. I co-host it with Bill Rancic. Love him.
Yeah.
And we do news you can use. So it's consumer safety, it's, scams on Craigslist and identity theft and, how to make sure your tweets don't come back to haunt you. And it's pet tips and safety tips and, everything you can think of. If it makes you stronger, safer, smarter, we're on it.
Yeah, well, I mentioned to you earlier when we came in that Leeza, for those of you who don't know, is really a pioneer when it comes to media in general, but women in media really taking ownership of what we create. She created out of her, most of you know her from Entertainment Tonight, and you know her from movies and things like that, but she's always been on radio, and she's always owned the rights to her Entertainment Minute and Lisa Late Night. You have like 3 or 4 different properties.
Yes.
On radio.
I love radio.
Yeah. It's awesome. And you could do radio to the day you die. Okay, so don't get twisted. You could do it in your pajamas. You could do it at home. Yes. So it's always important. And I think that a lot of people, particularly in the African American community, get a lot of their news from radio.
Well, you know what? It's more intimate. It's more immediate. It makes sense. It's less collaborative in the sense that, with television, many times you've got so many layers of people and stuff and funnels to go through and hurdles to jump and approvals and da-da-da. Radio it's the medium of the people, and especially now in the digital world, and there's so many different ways to receive it. So I'm with you on that. I was laughing because I always did my shows in my PJs, and I had a room at home where I did my radio recording.
Right.
And it was, and we had it soundproofed, right? And my kids called it the screaming room. Mom's going into the screaming room. So I hope they knew I was actually making a living and not just having a breakdown.
Right? That's awesome. And in addition to radio, all of her entertainment properties, Lisa's written a new book.
Yes.
Take Two.
Take Two, Your Guide to Happy Endings and New Beginnings.
Yeah, I love that because a lot of people, I was just sharing with her that this is Take Two and I want 5. And a lot of people will get a second chance, maybe A, not get a second chance and not know where to go, or B, get a second one and not learn the lessons from the first one.
And it keeps coming back until you get the lesson.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
But we forget that you can hit the reset button. And that because you were this person yesterday, you don't have to continue as that person. You're the only one who gets to make it up and who gets to say, okay, now I'm calling for a redo. And this is my second take, and I'm going to be this.
Yeah.
And then we teach everyone else around us who we are now.
Yeah.
Some people may give you a lot of pushback because they know you as the woman who this, or the mom who that, or the person who's the go-to for whatever. But you redefine those boundaries, and I think it's very exciting to know that any time's a good time to start over.
That's a really interesting point because people do seem to treat you from the prism that they know you.
That's right.
And how do you move forward, without them blocking you?
Right. I always love Patti LaBelle who said, don't block the blessing. Right? It's always in my head. It is a tough one because I think when you redefine who you are, there's some people that are going to fall off.
Yeah.
And part of what you need to do really is just edit out the people in your life that can't be supportive of your vision of you.
Yeah.
And it all comes from self-worth, though. Once we define and you get the love you think you deserve, you make the money you think you deserve, all of that. So once we define that and really own it for ourselves, and we start treating ourselves better, the rest of the world will act accordingly.
Yeah.
They always talk about let's get our ducks in a row, but if you look at a mother duck, she never waits for all the ducklings to line up. She starts walking, and they fall in line.
And they follow her.
That's what will happen if you decide, I'm going to be a different person. People will fall in line.
Quack. Okay. So now another one of your projects that I really adore is very close to my heart, that I just found out about is Leeza's Place.
Ah, my passion.
Yeah, your mom, my mom, I came back to Florida because my mom became ill and now is suffering from Alzheimer's.
I'm sorry.
And thank you. And I heard that your mom as well fell. Now, did you start Leeza's Place out of that experience?
Yes, yes. My mother and my grandmother, the two strongest women in my life, they both died of Alzheimer's disease, but when my mother was struggling with it, and she disappeared over 10 years with it, and my granny, it took 15 years before they end. It is brutal, as you know. But my mother said, I asked her, I got a call from People magazine, and they said, you know, we hear that your mother has Alzheimer's disease, and, you know, we want to do a story about that, and a supportive story. And I asked my family, how do you feel? And they said, of course, that's what we should do. And my mother said, listen, you're a storyteller. This is your story. You need to take this story, and you need to tell it and use it. So I did that, and we created in the world what we wish we'd had, which is a supported place to feel that you aren't alone, and to call on your strength, summon your strength and call on your courage. And it's Leeza's Place and Leeza's Care Connection. We offer free support for caregivers.
Yeah, and there's one in Pembroke Pines.
Yes, at Memorial.
At Memorial Hospital that I just found out about. I was going to one that was, you know, closer to home, and I met, because, you know, as soon as you think you have it bad, talk to somebody else.
That's right.
Because I went to the group, it's a support group, and one of the gentlemen there's wife was struck at 35.
There's a lot of early onset.
And I thought early, my mother's 67, and I thought, well, that's early.
That's young.
You know, it is very young. And how to separate yourself from the experience and not lose yourself, and and I think that yours is one of the only places I've ever heard of this just for the caregiver.
Yes, we really looked at how can we be of service. Yeah. The research is great. We support that. It's not what we do. And we saw that the caregivers were declining faster than the diagnosed loved ones. That compassion fatigue is an assault on your immune system and everything. So we thought, okay, the way to keep families from unraveling and to keep the caregiver from going insane is to really inspire that person to take their oxygen first, you know, to really breathe in a support. And at some point to stop achieving and start receiving. Because it's not until you fill up that you can give it back out.
So now are you expanding it throughout the country?
Yes, we are.
That's awesome.
We're in California, we're in Chicago. You know, there's such a great need. We need to be on every street corner, honestly. But it's free psychosocial support, and we partner with hospitals that are generous enough to pay our operating costs. And because it supports their families in their patient community. It's actually a very smart business move.
Yeah, very.
But we've been doing it 10 years now, and it's such a blessing in my life. Thank you for asking. So much of your life has been about, even your talk show was about empowering women, and I just had a flashback of you standing there talking about empowering women. So what would you say, what is, you know, from your experience, through entertainment and family and heartbreak and relationships, what would you say that your journey, what would you offer to women who are at some point in getting to where you are now? I think it's about taking sole custody of your life. And there's a time to look over your shoulder and have that rear view mirror prism, because you do want to connect the dots and see that all of those, what you thought were failures and defeats, they all led you to a place and served you well. So I think it's owning your life. I think it's basking in your backstory enough to learn those lessons, but to stay future focused and just move ever forward. You know, I love that you said I've always been about empowering women, because years ago I wrote a mission statement for my life. You know, I've always had businesses, and I've mission statements for my business, and I thought, I don't have a mission statement. What does my life stand for? Intuitively I knew, but I wrote it down, and that's one of the things that I encourage women to do. It's a fluid document, it can change. But once you really say, and this is not your goals, that's different. This is what do you want to stand for? How do you want to feel about the world? How do you want people to receive who you are? And that was one of mine, was to offer my gifts and talents to empower and inspire.
Well, you have been successful.
Oh, thank you. That really makes me smile.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
What a pleasure. You're very good at what you do.
Thank you.
Wow.
All right, James, you heard that. Cha-ching.
She's just like a